Hey, Tasha here with Emerge Sales Training. And today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about why telling people that you have a bad idea might actually be a good idea. So recently I read the book Originals, which is super good, probably not shocking. If you follow me, it's on how nonconformists change the world. And one of the topics in there was really around how original people get people to trust their ideas. And it's super counterintuitive. And one is picking out actually the flaws ahead of time. So let me just go ahead and walk you through the logic of this, and then I'd love to hear what you think. So if you are seeing this on social media, leave a comment. If you are listening to this audio, then go ahead and shoot us an email and let us know. But here's the logic. Most of us don't want to be taken as a sucker, right? So when someone is coming to us with an idea that just appears to be so amazing, right? Take a step back. Has anyone ever told you something that sounds so good that you're like, that's too good to be true? And then what we do intuitively is we start looking for flaws in the argument. And what that does is it decreases trust. And so what originals do to get their ideas across is they actually expose the flaws from the beginning. And what's really cool about that is if you expose some of the flaws, which every idea has some, no matter what it is, there is no perfect product, right? If you sell a great health and wellness product, some of the flaws might be the cost. Even if you look at our sales and leadership programs, there are some things in there, right? Like, I can't think of any. No, I'm just joking, right? I mean, the casual nature of our coaching team, the fact that maybe, we don't have specific network marketing backgrounds, those are flaws, right? And by exposing that, then the other person isn't looking for them, and they'll actually walk alongside you and say, okay, well, yeah, Tasha, I see what you're saying, and I can see how that's a flaw, but here's how we can make this work. And instead of them looking for chinks in your armor, which decreases trust, they walk alongside you and they're like, well, let's look at how we can address these flaws, or maybe these flaws aren't so bad. And so what if we were presenting an idea to someone, we actually acknowledged some of them? Now, not in a way that detracts from our confidence at all, but if we acknowledge some of the flaws, would we then increase trust? And so without even realizing this, I have been doing this for a long time. And I just gave you an example. So when I do my webinars, we will typically start off with what's hard about whatever topic we're talking about. And then I'll just say, let me give you a little brief insight into how we train and who emerges. And I always start with, well, this one major disclaimer. I am not an active network marketer. But please, before you hang up, I have one redeeming quality. I'm a very active network marketing customer. And then I just go on to explain my perspective as a customer, and then explain that, I'm here representing your customer, making it like, please make it easier to buy. Please explain your stuff so I can understand, as opposed to your upline who's saying, hey, we need you to do better and make more sales and whatnot. And, there certainly have been people that have said, well, Tasha's not a network marketer, we're out. But I think it's less people than would have otherwise if I didn't just acknowledge that from the beginning. Because if I never acknowledged that, then as people would listen to the training, they would just be like, well, they would just look for reasons to shoot down my credibility. Well, if I already say, well, here are the reasons I'm not credible, and but here's the reasons why I might be credible despite that, then it actually just changes the conversation and increases trust. Now, there are a couple of keys to making this work. Number one, you can't be snarky. It can't be like 5 reasons you'll hate guacamole, and they're actually like, you hate delicious things is number 1, or you don't like to be healthy is number 2, or, it's like dumb stuff like that. Don't make it about being snarky, right? The reasons that someone might not like Emerge, right? These are maybe the legitimate ones, like, our background, like the fact that we are jokey and sarcastic and casual in nature, the way we challenge conventional wisdom within the industry. Those are things legitimately that people might not like. And so you want to make sure it's not meant to be snarky. And then the second key to making this work is it really depends on your skill level. I would not necessarily use this in a sales scenario unless your skill level is very, very high. So if you are just kind of starting out with, let's say you recently took your direct sales foundation or you're just about to enroll, I would not use it there. I'd wait till you are super skilled in your basics when it comes to sales, right? Like maybe you're in that 70 to 80%. And then that's where I might introduce a particular flaw. So not when you're in a place where you are not doing well. This isn't going to pull you from totally stinking to all of a sudden being a rock star, but this will increase trust with a certain percentage of people that are looking for chinks in the armor. I feel like it's where it's most valuable is in leadership. And so let's say I have an idea about something that we want to do. So let's see if I can think of a real life scenario. So I have another business that I played with a friend of mine for a while called the Christian Network Marketers Community. And so for the past 3 months, I've been kicking around bringing it back. And so if I'm going to go to my leadership team to say, hey, I think we should bring this back, here are some of the pros, but here are also some of the cons, right? The amount of work it's going to take, and how do we figure out this particular challenge, and how do we, I don't want to create products over there, right? So how do we align the two companies so that we don't have to create additional products? Like those are actual challenges. And so instead of my leadership team pushing back and saying, no, because here are all the challenges, right? They would say, okay, I see those challenges. Let's see if we can work around them. And they're not going to feel so, just like they have to do it, or they're not going to feel like they need to be defensive. Another really good place to put this is what you can offer as a leader. And so I do some work in my recruiting class around who you are as a leader. We did a little bit of it in the little strengths mini course that we do, but really going through your talents and your gifts and your strengths and kind of just understanding what you're good at as a leader. But if that's all you say, they're going to start saying, well, crap, you can't be perfect, so let me find the chinks in your armor. But if I just tell you what they are, then it'll be like, yeah, okay, well, that's who you are. So if I were doing that, I would say, you know what, I'm really good at taking very complicated things, making them simple. I'm good with learning language and knowing how you can apply it and seeing patterns so you can be successful. And identifying these patterns. What I'm not so good at is like the feeling stuff. And sometimes my insatiable desire to make something amazing can get in my way and make people a little bit crazy. Will you still have me as your coach or as your leader or as your trainer? And then they aren't going to be looking for all the things they may not like about me. Instead, they'll be like, oh, well, those are the things. All right, well, if you're willing to acknowledge your flaws, then you're probably pretty trustworthy. And it's super helpful. So that is the tip that I wanted to give you today. I think it shows up most when it comes to ideas or even presenting yourself as a leader that someone would follow. I'm curious to hear what you guys all think, and I hope that's helpful. Now, this is a tip that you would layer onto some of the foundations you may have already built in your direct sales foundation or your leadership foundation. So if you haven't taken those courses, make sure that you check them out at emergesalestraining.com/courses. And that's it for today, and I will see you guys soon.